Let's get the big disclaimer out of the way first. Gacha games are the apex of terrible microtransaction practices, dark patterns, and preying on addictive personalities. There is no way around this. I don't care how free-to-play friendly the game is. Its main objective is to get money from you through a laundry list of tactics. This goes for all of them. Period. End of discussion. The only reason it's allowed to slide for people is because the games are free-to-play.
Hold on just a second, Taylor. What about when they use fan service to further the effectiveness of those tactics?
Good question. Roll intro.
Taylor, what the
Also, before I begin this, there are always exceptions to the rule. A gacha game over here may have a really fair stamina system, or a super generous pity, or it sends a birthday cake to your house thanking you for even viewing its Steam page. From DK to Olympus Company, I know there are games that go against what I'm going to say here. However, all of them are gachas. All of them still use dark patterns to get you to spend money. Once they can't get new players, they'll milk the current fans dry. So now that we've either cleared the air or the room, I've noticed an interesting trend among a number of gacha games. They start out super free-to-play friendly. Then, like a thief with a BDSM fetish, but low pain tolerance, they see what they can get away with until the punishment gets too much. You can observe this with power creep, character release windows, and degrading of the free-to-play experience. To be fair, yes, these games need ways to make money to subsidize their free-to-play nature. They aren't charities despite getting massive tax breaks and subsidies. Oops, did I let that slip? Anyways, while they need to make money, where I've started taking issue is how they've degraded the overall experience to do so. Yes, I'm going to be ripping into Hoyoverse, but I'm going to also be ripping into Kuro and Infinity Nikki. To further set the stage, let's give my experience. That way, when you call me biased, you'll at least know what that bias actually is. My first gacha game, like a lot of people, was Genshin. I played it when it was just that funny anime Breath of the Wild ripoff. Now here comes the fun story behind Genshin. I enjoyed it for a bit. The new player experience was like a skilled drug dealer getting the population of Walmart hooked on meth. Give out just enough free samples, currency, and rewards until they're in too deep. Now, it initially got me addicted, but over time the greatest anti-drug stepped in and pulled me away for a time. Hoyoverse's terrible storytelling and Paimon's second VA. After Inazuma and mashing my mouse to skip Paimon's recapping the story I was just told 10 seconds ago, I was over it. I never made it to endgame. I couldn't even be bothered to get to max world level or screenshots for this video. That changed with the Persona clone known as Honkai Star Rail. I got to max level. I tried out the endgame content. I have 3 5-star characters higher than E1. Some of my friends are well aware of how hard I simp for Fei Xiao. However, like Genshin, HSR decided to huff paint before writing some of the worst stories. If saying mind control monkeys makes you cringe, then you know when the HSR story got terrible. Don't get me wrong, the Lao Fu was a low point, but those damn monkeys. I tried to come back for Amphorius. I love me a deep philosophical lore-heavy yap fest. However, you know it's bad when I, a 40k fan, started wondering when the lore dumps will stop. From that point on, I can barely be bothered to do my dailies. Even getting Finon for free did little to make me want to play. Then Wuthering Waves came out, and I'm currently working on getting to endgame with that game. Now, if the Kuro fans are waiting for me to glaze that game, please get in line with my significant other to be initially excited, then deeply disappointed at this performance. With my origin story out there, let's get to the heart of this ramble. Gacha games are doomed to degrade, period. No matter how great the initial start is, you will eventually be disrespected and milked for every dime they can. The first tactic is power creep. Let me ask you something. Are you still using the team you started out with? For my Genshin dudes, are you still using Amber, Jean, Diluc? I'm willing to bet a solid 60% of you are not using a single character you got at the start. Well, except Bennett, that dude is just forever meta. People playing Star Rail, I would be shocked if that number drops below 80%. That's what these games want. Sure, that's a revelation on the same level as the sky is blue and when people die they're dead. However, this invalidates developing too strong of an attachment on a gameplay level. I love my Firefly team. I love my Kafka Black Swan Dot team. As of right now, both of those are incredibly mid. Hello, Taylor from the future here. This dork was released during editing, so this is a quick note to show that yes, well at the time, Dot teams were mid even with the Kafka buffs. They're now relevant again because of this new character that is released. However, this still is a perfect demonstration of power creep and release windows because guess who is right alongside with her? Kafka. Anyways, continue. They don't do enough damage for current endgame, and that's by design. Now, some games do mitigate it. Oddly enough, again, Bennett from Genshin, Home Dog Forever Viable. With Wuthering Waves and Genshin, it appears they make characters that are good in archetypes or elements. However, this isn't going to last forever. I'm convinced Gallagher was a mistake. The best example of this, and the start of this for HSR, is Acheron. Acheron, when she came out, was able to break the element mechanic, didn't use traditional energy, and her light cone was almost mandatory. Of course, Hoyoverse isn't the only one guilty of this. Fire Emblem Heroes is notorious for this, with almost every new unit being laughably overpowered. I shouldn't have to explain why power creep degrades the experience, but just in case, I'll make it brief. Power creep first off invalidates characters you already own. Spend 2 months saving up for that one super powerful waifu or husbando? Too bad. This new character does exactly what your favorite does, but better now. Sometimes they introduce a brand new game-breaking mechanic like, say, a global passive for your entire account. Some games do it slowly over an extended period of time. Some speedrun that. Yes, Star Rail, I'm still looking at you. However, all gacha games are going to do this. Their business model relies on it. Your favorite character being viable and the best forever means you're less likely to spend. Now, let's talk about character release windows. A lot of gacha games have you building teams. Wuwa and Zenless Zone Zero have you building teams of 3. Genshin and Star Rail have you building teams of 4. Why bring this up in regards to release windows? Some of you already know, the best way to sell a character is to make a perfect fit for other characters. Chikona and Cardathea, Robin and Topaz, Malvika and Satali, these characters are incredibly reliant on each other, or at a minimum, one needs the other. The other reason I mentioned some of these specific examples, their pull windows were either at the exact same time, or one after the other. Let me remind you, if you are lucky, you'll have enough pulls during that window for maybe one character. However, its best in slot is right there or around the corner, and not enough freebie currency to have a good chance at both. Sure, you can rely on reruns, but with an emphasis on getting new characters, there's no telling when those reruns will happen. Don't believe me? As of recording, a character called Shenhe in Genshin hasn't had a rerun in over 600 days. Reruns aren't guaranteed, and if they are, there's a solid chance they'll be ran alongside another character you need. Like power creep, this is intentional. While the free currency may seem generous, this is a waifu husbando casino, and the house always wins. They're going to stack character releases in such a way that you either miss out on the best in slot, get stupidly lucky, or pay up. You double this problem when characters are reliant on weapons or extra copies to get full access to their kit. Once again, looking at you, Star Rail, this also incentivizes pulling on characters you normally wouldn't as well. Were you only going to pull on Zani? Well, that's cool, but Phoebe helps her be at her best. Sure, you can use alternatives and free-to-play units, but you wouldn't want bestest wage slave waifu Zani to put up with just good enough. Every gacha implements tactics like that. Make the character amazing for the hype character. Now there's pressure to pull for a character you didn't even initially want. I would say looking at you, Star Rail, but there are also some mean side glances going at Wuthering Waves. They've done this multiple times and are just as guilty. Not only that, these release windows are timed with specific content. I observed this heavily once again with Star Rail. Certain in-game bosses would be weak to break. Guess who's the current hotness? Rappa and Firefly. Bosses with a bunch of minions that need all to be hit at once by Quantum? Castress has you covered, if you pulled for her, and the supports that enable her. Now on to the final point. Every gacha game will degrade the free-to-play experience. It is inevitable. Do you know Honkai Star Rail was seen as the super generous gacha, with Dr. Ratio being given out for free? It spawned that overused meme of Genshin would never. Now, events are bare bones or recycled. They at one point had 4 characters in one banner. Now this sounds like it should be in the release window argument, but the reason it's here in free-to-play is because free-to-play will only give you so much currency. It just barely gives you enough of a chance for one character. If you're free-to-play, it gets really tempting to pull out that wallet. Let's ignore the character thing. Let's take a look at everyone's favorite gacha mechanic, stamina. Your normal video game lets you play however much you want and reward you when you complete the missions, quests, and/or dungeons. Gacha games have this funny stamina mechanic. Essentially, every activity you do eats a certain amount of energy. Once that energy is gone, you can get no more rewards. You can wait for it to refill, or if you give the game some money for the premium currency, you can keep going. The more characters and the more events there are, the more stamina you're going to need. What makes it even better is most rewards are based on RNG, so there's no guarantee you'll get what you need on the first try. Now your stamina has a consistent drain, with the only reliable way to refill it is time or money. In other games, for being free to play, you can exchange it by time and grind. Gacha games need to avoid you doing that, or at least make it as not worth it as possible. So now it drastically increases the time you need to wait to get that relic, that leveling material, or boss item, if you choose to grind it out. The system, at its core, was designed to be hostile, and it only gets more hostile as time goes on. New relics, new boss items, new materials. Genshin's moment was the anniversary event. It showed Genshin was never going to give ground when it came to throwing free-to-play a bone. Sure, Zenless and Wuthering Waves aren't too bad for now. However, WUA had to get pushed back to improve its anniversary rewards and events. Its early generosity can also be heavily contributed to its troubled launch. Getting addicted to something is difficult if it tastes like ass and has the voice acting of a high school play. Anyways, why do I say this? Why do I smack talk all these games but still engage with them? The first part is, I hope they can do better. I doubt they will, but maybe one more jerk complaining at the clouds can push the needle. The second bit is my final point. Gacha games are something at their heart. They're mobile games. Sure, they are highly polished mobile games you can play on consoles and PC, but they have a shelf life. They're only going to be supported as long as they make the profits required. Even then, the companies that run them are preparing the next thing to replace them. Hoyoverse has a 5th game in development. Kuro is rumored to have one in the works. New gacha games are spawning out of the woodwork as we speak, with Asteria Restart, Duet 9 Abyss, Neverness to Everness, the Blue Protocol reboot, and a bunch of others. These games are designed to build a fan base, get them hooked, drain them, then move on over to the next one. There are no thoughts to legacy or long-term health of their game. If they did, Infinity Nikki wouldn't be in the spot it's in.
Hey Taylor, you look different. Weren't you wearing Space Marine armor?
Oh, I sold the Space Marine armor. It was way too bulky, and I have to save money for future waifus.
Future waifus?
Like I said, waifus. Especially that one.